I love wearing my glasses because I feel super cute, but I hate this ring light reflection or like the reflection of my window. So yeah, I don't know how to coordinate this. We're just gonna have to deal. But I have to wear my glasses today because look, I match Alice in today's t-shirt. Hello and welcome to the booktube channel, Jack in the Book Stack, where I talk about a wide variety of book genres and the bookish lifestyle. And in today's video, I want to do the mid-year book freakout tag. Granted, we are not exactly halfway through the year yet because we are still in progress in the month of June, but I'm ready to freak out. So I want to freak out about some books. Here we are. I will put all the prompts in the description box down below so you can do this tag. I'm not going to tag anybody in particular, just do it if you want to do it. I think it's a lot of fun, and I would love to hear your answers to some of these in the comments down below, especially your response to question number 1. What is the best book of the year so far? I'm gonna have to go with Yellowface. Granted, I just finished this, so we have a little bit of recency bias going on here, but I thought this literary fiction was incredible. I loved the satire tone about a topic that I find really interesting, and that topic is who has the right to tell a story about suffering. In Yellowface, we focus specifically on race. So we have a white author who is writing about Asian suffering, and that stirs up a lot of controversy. And beyond that, lots of analysis on plagiarism in the publishing industry. This book was so entertaining and so impactful and so thought-provoking. It's not the first time that I've asked myself this question. I read a book earlier in the year called Mary. That's a horror book. It's written by a man, but it's about a woman going through menopause. And he had an author's note at the end that actually addresses that question. Like, does he have the right to tell a woman's story being a man? And so I just think the overall concept is incredible. It's a great conversation. And even though I just finished this, I can't get it out of my head. I'm still thinking about all the conversations in Yellowface, so it is my favorite book of the year so far. Question number 2, what is the best sequel you've read so far this year? That's pretty easy. It has to go to Heartless, which is book 2 in the Chestnut Springs series. This is a contemporary romance series, supposedly small town, although I don't get those vibes as much, but I love the vibes in this series. I love the close family dynamics. So I like those relationships. I like the banter. The whole series is hilarious. I liked the sequel because it is a standalone series, so they're interconnected standalones. You see a lot of the same characters, but it's an independent story, and I liked the couple in this one. The spice was incredible, and I had just enough foundation of the tone and what to expect that I was really prepared going into this one. I had the right expectations. So Heartless was my favorite sequel so far. Question number 3, what is a new release that you have not read yet, but you want to? This book was released earlier in 2023, and I haven't read it yet, but there's a very good reason why. The book is A Day of Fallen Night, and obviously this is a huge book. It's going to be a beast to read, but also it is a prequel, and I have seen that the author actually recommends reading book 1 first before the prequel, so I have to read another beast before I read this beast that's a new release. So I want to get to it, but I've got to be honest with you, I don't know what's going to happen in 2023. Question number 4, what is your most anticipated new release? I'm not sure how to answer this question, like if this was my most anticipated or what I haven't read yet that I'm anticipating. I'll say that one that I was really anticipating that I did read was The Adventures of Amina al-Sarafi. I was excited about this one because it has a older female main character, pirate, and that sounded incredible to me. Reading a fantasy novel where the main character is female over the age of 40 had me super excited. So this was something I was really anticipating in 2023, and I got it and I read it and I loved it. So it met my expectations. most anticipated new release that is not out yet, I have to go with the sequel to Fourth Wing. I think it's called Iron Flame. The cover isn't released yet, so I don't know what it's gonna look like. And hear me out, I'm not saying that this new release, expected in November, is my most anticipated because I am totally fangirling over book one. I loved it, I thought it was great, but I take issue with a couple things at the end, and I wanna see if those things can be corrected in book two. So firstly, the main character has this whole like, I can't believe you lied to me attitude that she's being really childish about. And I need that to be squashed really quickly in book two for me to take her seriously, because I think she's being kind of irrational and emotional at this moment. So I'm gonna need that to dissipate immediately. There was also a cliffhanger at the end of the book that everybody's losing their minds over. Me, not so much, because I've seen it a couple times done before. But I want to know if our main character is going to have a similar immature reaction to this cliffhanger. So I'm really excited to see that. Book two is really going to make or break the series for me. So there's a lot of potential. There is a lot of potential there, and I just need to see how it goes. So I am very much anticipating that new release in November. Question number 5 on the list. What is your biggest disappointment of the year so far? And again, with the recency bias, because I just read this month, but 7 Days in June, I was super disappointed about. I was always under the impression that this was a very moving, emotional, insightful contemporary romance book, and it had more mature characters. They're in their 30s. I heard there was chronic pain or chronic illness representation, so it had so many elements I was excited about. However, I hated the female main character so much. She was such a brat, so entitled. She treated the male lead like crap. Like, I felt like she never believed in him. I feel like he was groveling to her when he really shouldn't have been. She was just never there for him, and always kind of believed the worst in him, even when he gave her evidence that she didn't have to believe the worst. She still did. So because I hated her so much and thought he could do better, this was a disappointment. Question number 6. What is the biggest surprise of the year so far? I have 2 answers for this. Firstly, Great Expectations. This classic by Charles Dickens I thought would be pretty stuffy. I didn't think I would enjoy it as much as I did, but I was shocked at the sinister tone of the book and the intricate plot lines that all kind of wove together to have really incredible twists, as well as like an awesome moral to the story. So it was that sinister tone and the engaging plot that really made Great Expectations a surprise. The second book that I thought was also a great surprise this year was A Soul to Keep. I read this monster romance on Kindle Unlimited. I was looking for an escape, and wow, was it an escape. I've never read monster smut before. The pure imagination, well, the imagination is disturbing. Like, I have questions how the author thought of all the elements here. But the imagination was just incredible, and there was actually a great plot with all the smut. So I was really engaged. It was not the perfect book. It definitely drug on too long, as KU books typically do, since authors are paid by the page that you read. It was very bloated, but it did surprise me because of the plot and the creativity of it. I really enjoyed this read, and I'm still kind of mind blown of the anatomy of our monster character. So, big surprise. Question number 7, a favorite new author. That has to be Elsie Silver. I read book 1 in the Chestnut Springs series called Flawless, and I was blown away. I read it on Kindle Unlimited. I immediately went online and ordered all the special edition books that were out at the time because I loved it. I loved the spicy romance, the banter, the warm, fuzzy feeling that the characters had, especially in their family life. It was just a feel-good time. Powerless, book 3, did have much more of an emotional heaviness to it. So it's definitely not a superficial series. That's not what I mean when I'm saying it's like more lighthearted and fun. It made me feel good and laugh and smile, and it was a great escape. I loved this contemporary romance. And I just love the country western setting. So like, I am the target audience for these books and Elsie Silver with her writing style. I ordered her other series to see how that goes, and there's horses involved with that one as well, I think racehorses, so super excited to read all the things that she comes out with. Question number 8, I've been struggling with coming up with an answer for. It is, who is your new fictional crush? And I can't really think of one. I've been going through like all the books I've read and it's really hard to come up with one. So I'm gonna have to repeat this answer. So the main character, Cade. Daddy Cade. He is it. He is sexy. So I think as far as fictional crushes, I think I would have to say him. Although I hate that I've used like this book in like 3 answers so far. But he's the best I can come up with for a fictional crush at this point in time. Question number 9, a new favorite character. Again with the recency bias, but I just read The Alloy of Law, which is book 4 in the Mistborn series, or book 1 in the Era 2 Wax and Wane era. I'm not sure how to define it. But there is a supporting character in this. I don't know how her name is pronounced. Lady Marseille? And I was blown away. She is witty, she is powerful, she's a little bit awkward, she is so intelligent. And I am a sucker for the power of intelligence and knowledge and making smartness cool. And she does that. Even though she is a little bit awkward and she blushes all the time, she can just hold her own with all the guys, fighting against criminals, and taking the bad guys down. But she's so smart, like her input is so valuable, and I just really loved her. And she single-handedly makes me super pumped up to continue in this series because I want to see more of her story. I just love this character so much. Question number 10, a book that made you cry. Well, okay, I'm a huge crybaby, so it doesn't take a lot to kind of start up the waterworks for me, and this one I think is the funniest. I definitely cried reading Sinner. Okay, this is a smutty book about a bad boy who kind of is interested in a childhood friend, or like his best friend's sister that he grew up with, who is looking to become a nun. Very spicy, and the plot sounds kind of ridiculous, right? But there was actually so much substance and depth beyond that that really spoke to me, and something that our characters go through outside of that romance plotline just really got me, and I felt what the characters felt. I sympathized with them so much. It got me, and I definitely cried reading Sinner. I told you, it doesn't take a lot to make me cry. I'm such a sucker. Question number 11, a book that made you happy. I have 2 answers for this. It was hard to limit it to 2 because there are several books that did make me happy, but answer 1 of 2 is Murder Your Employer. This was a satire that was just really, really entertaining about people who try to unalive their boss, but they're unsuccessful with it. So they are sent away to this unique college or university to learn all the various ways that they can implement to get it right the next time. And it was just so intelligent, so funny, so entertaining, and you want these bosses to be unalived because they're bad people. So it's all in good fun, and I enjoyed the tone of this book so much. Another book that I really enjoyed the tone of is In the Lives of Puppets. TJ Klune is known for writing lovable characters, having like an emotional bond, found family, accepting our differences in each other. So it had all those warm and fuzzy elements to it, which is why we love TJ Klune's books. But this one had so much humor and banter between the characters. It had like adult language to it that made it really entertaining, and this book just really made me smile and laugh out loud and made me happy in a time that I wasn't really feeling too happy, which says a lot that a book could do that and change my mood. So In the Lives of Puppets definitely made me happy, particularly because of the banter between our very lovable characters in their little found family. Question number 12, the most beautiful book. Okay, well, there are a couple different ways I can answer that. I was looking at books for thinking of the most beautifully written, and there were a lot of options. I decided to interpret the question this year as the most beautiful like plot or love story, and that is Archer's Voice for me. I just thought this was such an innocent, pure love story, and it was just very sweet and beautiful. When I was looking at my books and the books I've read this year, I was like, yeah, this is beautiful. But if we take this question literally, like the most beautiful book that I've obtained this year, then that has to go to Legends and Lattes, because look at that iridescent cover. This is a Fairy Loot special edition. In 2023, I have started subscribing to Fairy Loot and Illumicrate, so I'm getting so many beautiful books. So if we are taking this question literally, I could have like a whole stack, because now I am spending all my money on these beautiful editions. Question number 13, what is a book that you have to read in the remainder of 2023? Well, I had like a whole video on the 23 books I wanted to read this year, so I would say anything on that list. I also had a list of Kindle Unlimited books that I wanted to read this year, so anything from that list. But picking from those, I definitely want to read City of Brass. I want to try out the Daevabad trilogy to see if it's for me, because in looking at the synopsis and what it's about, I think it really could be just my kind of fantasy. So I'm excited to check that one out. And then from Kindle Unlimited, I really want to try the Zodiac Academy. I would love to own these books. I think they are beautiful. Covers are a little bit too glossy for me. I'd like them to be a little bit more matte, but regardless, it doesn't matter. I think these are incredible and all lined up together. There's what, like 8 or 9 books. They just look so substantial and cool, and I love the synopsis of what the books are about. I'm excited to check it out for myself, but I'm insisting that I try it on Kindle Unlimited first before I invest all this money, because books are expensive. So I want to read it this year so I don't cave to the self-imposed pressure I'm putting on myself to just buy them without trying them first. So I definitely need to try them first. That wraps up my mid-year book freakout tag for this booktube video. 2023 has been a roller coaster of a reading year so far, but there's so many more books I'm excited to get to. Biggest disappointment in my life is knowing that I will never be able to read all the books out there that I want to read. So there's a lot of pressure. I'm freaking out, just as the video says. But this was a lot of fun. I would love to hear from you again in the comments down below, any of your answers to these questions, but in particular, what is the best book that you have read so far this year? Thank you so much for hanging out with me in this video. I will see you in the next one.